Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
All right, we were thinking about Ahsoka, because obviously it's coming up and there's plenty to think about. But I want to look more at our side of let's raise the curtain on the news and the information that we bring you. We bring you so much information based on things like actors' interviews, those behind-the-scenes little looks into the mind of the person who's playing a character we want to see. But now we've got the Screen Actors Guild going on strike. What does this mean for Ahsoka and the advertising? No, it doesn't mean that the show is going to get delayed. I don't believe anything like that. Obviously, they're done recording. They've already got a finished product pretty much waiting for release.
They promised the release date. It would be not well received or welcomed to delay it now.
Yeah. But what this does mean is with the actors being on strike, the actors in the show, any of them that are part of the Screen Actors Guild, cannot go out on interviews.
No.
Just like it's going to be a quiet year at the Emmys when there's no audience.
A very quiet year, yes.
Or you won an award, but nobody's picking it up.
Well, I think this is... I don't want to get into the details of the strike yet again, because I'm not an expert,
well, I'm
as
not
I've
really
said before.
talking about the strike, but just the ramifications.
No, I know what you're saying. Like, I understand with the actors why they have kind of unified with the Writers Guild. I get all that. I think it's, for the sake of the Ahsoka series, I think it's unfortunate because...
It's extremely detrimental in terms of the Ahsoka series because of the fact that, unlike Mando at this point, or just using OT characters, people don't know who she is.
Yeah, we've discussed that a lot. How many people really know this character? How many people know the backstory for Rebels, for example? Mm-hmm. So now you're going to have no more interviews going forward unless something happens, which it doesn't seem like it. It seems like we've got two very entrenched sides.
Well, we also have to consider how much Disney took into account the preparation for the strike. Obviously, there were talks about this going into it, and we don't always see interviews and articles published on the day they actually happen.
No, a lot of the time...
A lot of interviews,
come on months. We're still getting interviews out of Celebration from April. So.
Right, interviews that they couldn't release yet because of the pertinence, the time-sensitive nature of what they were discussing.
So it could be they have enough to fill the gap, if you will.
Mm-hmm. So did Disney plan far enough in advance to go, okay, well, the actors are getting a little strikey looking over there. Let's get a bunch of interviews and articles done, written out there so that the show can get the coverage it deserves, because they're not going to... Well, it's not going to do well if it doesn't get any coverage.
If you're a magazine or whatever you are as well, and the writers go on strike, that obviously hurts you as well. So you would be more prone, if you knew this was an impending possibility, you may have been more prone
beating on those studios' doors.
You may have been more prone to hold back articles or interviews with these actors, right?
Right, because you knew you would have a drought coming, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But the strike also means interesting things for other projects that we know Disney's in the works of. Projects like The Acolyte, Mando Season 4, which hasn't even started, so obviously it's going to be affected because they can't start.
Yeah. Well, I think this is an interesting time because it's like a game of chicken in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously Disney and these studios have a lot of money to fall back on. They're not going to exactly crumble immediately, whereas you have the writers and a lot of the actors are not very wealthy, right? So from what I heard, and it was kind of a disgusting thing, Disney and some of these other studios have said, we can wait them out until they can't pay their mortgages, essentially.
It's a siege tactic.
Yeah, it is.
We'll hunker down behind our walls and wait for
with our vast wealth, yeah.
But I'm kind of keeping this on the what we can expect on a Star Wars side.
No, I know what you're saying. I just want to kind of frame it, I guess, because I think it's unfortunate for the character Ahsoka within the context of Star Wars, right? Because a lot of people love this character. They want to see it be successful, and that's independent of any of the strikes. It's not like I'm saying, oh, I hope Ahsoka doesn't fail, but I hope they sort this out just so Ahsoka can succeed. It's nothing like that. Mm-hmm. I'm saying for the sake of the series, for the sake of the character, and for the sake of the future of Star Wars, I guess, independent of all that other crap, I hope it does well. I hope this doesn't affect it too much.
And from what I've heard, the Acolyte has wrapped their principal photography, so unless they need to go back and do any meaningful reshoots, they're probably okay. If that show does indeed come out and they don't use the strike as a reason to go, oh, look, that soft cancellation you all heard about it. Oh, no, it's the actor's fault.
Well, we have heard a lot of rumors about it.
Weird stuff about that.
It's so strange because there is certainly a lot of people who don't want to see the show ever come out. They don't like for whatever reason, and there's many reasons you can have to dislike this show, don't get me wrong. But yeah, so it's Are these genuine reports? Are these people just kind of throwing it out there to give it negative press or negative coverage?
It's hard to say. We don't know enough about it.
Yeah, you never know. You hear two sides of every story nowadays, which is unfortunate. People don't really tend to gravitate towards the truth. They tend to gravitate towards what they think is going to get them clicks from their audience.
Well, depending on, for Andor, how many of these actors are in the Screen Actors Guild, they could be coming to a stop too. It was originally heard that they were supposed to be done with filming in August.
So
they were
close.
stopping about a month-ish early, which could be really... But again, if they heard the strike was coming, the actors, they might have asked them to put in some overtime and get this done beforehand. We don't know.
But would they have done that? I mean, because they're going to know what that's for. I mean, it's got to be tough being an actor in this situation.
You also want your project to go forward.
Exactly, because you're working on the project. You obviously care about the project. You want the fans to see it. You're excited for people to see it. Yet you're also trying to show solidarity with this industry that is obviously in chaos and disarray.
Some of it depends on what was written into those original contracts.
Yeah.
If the contract says we can ask you to put in some long hours or something to hurry a project along, well, they still have to do it. You can say, well, this is what my contract said. We weren't on strike yet.
Yeah.
It doesn't make them a bad person. It's just that's the contract as it was written.
No, I don't think it makes you a bad person to want to see this finished or to want to see it, for you to want the strike to come to an end because you want to see more Star Wars content. But of course, there's a lot more nuance than that, to put it mildly.
Yes.
So there's people's livelihood on the line here. There is the future of Hollywood at stake. I mean, not that people wouldn't necessarily want to see Hollywood kind of take one on the chin and become something else, become something other than this corporate machine. It has certainly kind of always been, but more so in recent past.
And we also know that Skeleton Crew supposedly has finished with their voice actors. So they are supposedly done with that part. Voice actors done, they're free, clear. Skeleton Crew should also be finished at this point as well.
Yeah, that's supposed to be fall, early winter at this point. So, but after that, it's going to be a dry spell, unless something gets sorted out soon, which doesn't sound like that's going to be the case.
All right, moving on to the next stuff we've got today. Star Wars Outlaws. There was an interview that came out with Edge Magazine, and I've got some details that might be a little interesting. We've heard that each playable planet is going to be huge. It's going to be like an odyssey, to use their words, in and of itself, with some worlds doubling to tripling the size of one of Assassin's Creed's 7 zones. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, specifically.
If I'd played that might mean more to me. But certainly there are those who have played it will understand that.
They do say that players are going to have extensive freedom as a major goal in this title. Each encounter is set up to have multiple possible approaches that suit how you want to play. The encounters are also going to have long-term consequences for players, as the game's reputation system will open up avenues for specific quests that affect your standing with various factions as you progress.
Sounds awesome.
In that the little animal Nix, who is portrayed by D. Radley Baker, he's a partner in crime for Vess. He's going to be serving a similar function to BD-1 as in the Jedi games.
Every Star Wars property needs its cute thing.
Going to be assisting the player with various combat or puzzle sequences.
That's great. I mean, everything looks good so far.
The character of Vess is inspired by not only Han Solo, but Lando Calrissian, Indiana Jones, James Bond, and Captain Jack Sparrow. If you roll that all into one, I guess that's what K-Vess is inspired by.
You get chaos, I think, but okay.
There's no in-atmospheric flight.
Boo.
You choose kind of a preset landing and takeoff point, but
I wanted to crash my ship.
Well, you can. There are space battles.
I want to crash my ship.
No, you don't get to crash your ship. They said they chose no free flying above the planet because it's a lot of effort for little payoff. Because how many times are you going to just fly around when you still have to get to a preset landing zone?
Are you asking me personally,
yes,
or do you
think...
are
you just going to fly around randomly all the time?
Yes.
I'm like, no, eventually you just resort to your fast travel and you just go, no, I want to go here. That's the whole point of fast travel.
But if I have a ship
and
that is fast
travel... And it's
it's
a lot of work to do both.
That's old school fast travel. I'm someone who in the old school Final Fantasy games loved their airship and just flying it around.
They say you can freely explore around in space looking for things to trade and smuggle. You can also fight against pirates and the Empire.
Cool.
Kay's ship, the Trailblazer, has a limited supply of missiles, lasers, and a nitro-style speed boost, and a hyperdrive. So that means you do have to, if you start getting into scrapes in space, you're going to have to replenish your missiles and lasers and your speed boosting. That makes it a little more realistic, right?
No, yeah, I'm cool with all that. Mm-hmm. It sounds great so far. Like, on paper, this looks fantastic. It's in
The The planets,
reality.
the locations, they're all handcrafted content. There's no procedural generation for the planets or content. The ship, again, the Trailblazers, inspired by some 1970s toys.
Yeah.
They wanted it to fit in with the original trilogy. The development crew, they're very focused on nailing the 1980s look and feel of the original trilogy to make everything feel lived in. They were so proud of these aesthetics that, like, one example is they've managed to emulate the lenses of 1970s era cameras. You have, like, the vignetting, the film grain, lens breathing, like there's the thicker lens, slight lens flares, those subtle things to kind of give you a cinematic experience.
Lens flares. The only thing I think of when I hear that word
know.
is J.J. Abrams. I think it's 2 words, but you get what I mean.
And what's fun is that Jim Henson's creatures from the original trilogy, in the practical effects, they are inspiration for the character Nyx. He's actually motion captured using a puppet, and his shades are specifically created to represent some sort of a latex material, because they wanted him to look more like a puppet.
Okay. I was going to say there's irony between saying we wanted it to look like a puppet and we mocapped it.
They motion captured a puppet.
What do you think Jim Henson thinks of? I mean, if he was still alive, God rest his soul. But I mean, what do you think he would think of today's CGI and how
I'm not sure.
it's all kind of gone?
I mean, his stuff is timeless, so
Yeah.
there's that. All right, we've got a lot to cover then, so we're moving on to New This Week and Star Wars, etc.
Hey, let me finish this week.
With a tremendous eye roll, because there's a lot to get through, and we've already stretched this out long enough, Mr. Ramble. Monday. Today is the day of the memes, which I still don't know what that means, but it's coming out later today.
How it's not complicated.
Tuesday, we're
is.
moving on to Star Wars Rise of the Red Blade, the book based on Inquisitors.
Yeah, which we're both going to try to crank out and review maybe next weekend.
We'll see. We'll see how fast we can get it read.
It's probably not going to happen.
We'll see how fast it comes in the mail.
That's always a dilemma
We'll see
as well.
if Barnes & Noble shipping is faster than Amazon shipping. Should be. I'm a member.
Yeah, I don't think they care.
But I'm a member.
Yeah.
I pay for that speed.
You've been a member of Barnes & Noble since they started.
But
you are like
I
the
went
book
with
queen.
the new tier they have. They have like a $25 a year tier or something. I don't know.
Isn't that what it's always been?
I don't know. I'm part of the new tier. I think maybe there's a free tier now.
They're messing with you. There's no new tier.
No, I'm in the new tier because they gave me a free little tote bag, and I want more shipping.
Yeah, last time we were in there, they gave you a tote bag because you were
like, oh, you haven't gotten your tote bag. Which bag would you like? And I would like that one, please.
Yeah.
I felt fancy. It was like being a member of a country club.
No,
member of Barnes & Noble Books. It's okay.
It's a slight difference in pay.
Also on Tuesday, The Last of Us Season 1 will be out on 4K.
Oh, all right.
Wednesday, for comics, we have Dr. Aphra 34 and a Return of the Jedi 40th Anniversary Special, The Rebellion One-Shot.
Dun, dun, dun.
And we get Secret Invasion Episode 5. We're closing in on the end.
Yay.
Thursday, prelude to the Ahsoka series, unless it goes out on Friday.
Which it sometimes does.
Mostly does. It actually
just
I don't think it's ever come out on a Thursday.
A Thursday.
But the goal has always been Thursday.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but the goal has always been Thursday. I know they come out on Fridays, but I'm still announcing it for Thursday. This week, it's going to feature none other than Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Never heard of him.
Voice chat will be at 8 p.m. Central Time, and it is the beginning of ComicCon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, ComicCon will be beginning on Thursday.
Actors at ComicCon, no, huh?
I don't know.
That ties into, we've brought it full circle.
I don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
It might be a really depressing Comic-Con. I mean, like Marvel
they might have
said
to
they
actually,
weren't going.
They might actually talk about comic books at Comic-Con.
Hasbro will still have their panel.
They will. Speaking of Hasbro, we know what the exclusive is. It's the Star Killer. We didn't talk about that at all.
And I'm not talking about
Black
it now.
Series Star Killer were 2 stormtroopers that you don't need for like $120.
Yeah. Friday, we have more Comic-Con, and Barbie and Oppenheimer head to the theater together for Barbenheimer.
Thursday, date day, we're watching both.
We are planning on watching both, yes. We're going to watch Oppenheimer first and then Barbie.
Yep.
Because I wanted to end on something more frivolous, because I believe Oppenheimer will be a deep-thinking...
I'm sure Barbie will nail that frivolous down to a T.
Exactly, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yep.
Saturday and Sunday also are the continuation and final days of Comic-Con.
Yep. Which I'm sure we'll talk about.
If there's anything to talk about.
We'll have to see.
Well,
it's going to be Hasbro,
there'll be a
course.
Hasbro panel, and maybe there'll be some interesting publishing panels.
Yeah.
For,
Yeah, maybe they'll talk about comic books.
And I think DC was still going. They're like the only ones going, so maybe they'll be like, hey, we have to talk about the thing we're doing. Remember, we're doing
the thing that we're going to do after the all the strikes, maybe. We'll see. All right, well, that is going to be all we got for you this time. Now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you think of any and all of today's news, and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.